talking to all the analysts and the pundits and the reporters and everybody else in between out there. You don't get to dictate for the paying audience what they like and what they dislike. I could make the argument that the fact that this stuff has been politicized, because it clearly has been, and people are forced to take sides, is something that's working to the benefit of the WNBA, because we're talking about the WNBA more than we ever have.
That's a good point. We are talking about the league more than we ever have. Is this a case of all publicity is good publicity? Also, to Stephen A's earlier,
You should sit down, lock the doors, and prepare yourself if you believed that the WNBA had already reached its lowest point. Because what transpired on national television this morning officially destroyed the entire basis of professional women's basketball, not just the internet. The harm has already been done, but the mainstream media is already in a complete state of panic as they try to remove the footage. We are no longer dealing with a straightforward altercation in the locker room or a contentious foul. Music, the biggest names in the sport, are among the fatalities of the full-scale, unadulterated civil war we are experiencing. Regarding rumors of a covert emergency meeting by WNBA team owners have been circulating for the past 48 hours. However, until Stephen A. Smith entered the first take set, stared straight into the main camera, and dropped the equivalent of a nuclear bomb on live television, no one was aware of the terrible reality of what was spoken behind those closed doors. He did more than merely reveal a scandal. He revealed a sinister group of millionaires who are deliberately attempting to ruin a player's life. A fan favorite and one of the league's most vocal voices, Sophie Cunningham is today facing an immediate, permanent, and wholly unwarranted expulsion from the WNBA. And the mayhem is WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert failed to take action to address the devastating and extremely poisonous fallout. Rather, she took a completely unimaginable action. She literally left the league after packing up her office and raising her hands in the air. I'm going to show you the exact smoking gun that ignited the WNBA, which is currently on the verge of collapse. Regarding it,
I don't believe Sophie Cunningham will be with the Fever next year. I said this before. I didn't think she was going to be there this year because of the bad press. Now, everything that Sophie Cunningham did this year put the Indiana Fever and the entire league on notice. I'm sticking by it. I think they're going to try to Colin Kaepernick her, bro. I really do. It goes on to say the 30-year-old guard who joined the Fever in 2025 after 6 years with the Phoenix Mercury signed a one-year deal for 2026 that ends soon, fueling speculation about her exit. Her summer ESPN comments wanting to protect young girls from competing against biological men, which she called common sense, drew cheers from spectators and boos at games. Backers highlights her three-point shooting, enforcer style, and broad apparel, arguing the WNBA needs her more than she needs it amid rumors tied to her views. Yes, Sophie Cunningham, whether they like this or not,
we must examine the man who ultimately pulled the trigger in order to comprehend this complete carnage. Music, Stephen A. Smith. Let's be really honest now. Stephen A. has been treading carefully and hypocritically for weeks. Music, Smith Music, was taking sides in the verbal spat between the WNBA and former NBA player Enes Kanter. Kanter was calling out the front office's obvious hypocrisy, exposing the league's extreme double standards, and demanding responsibility. Stephen A. attempted to act as a diplomat. He attempted to appease the irate fans while simultaneously defending his relationships with WNBA management. He was engaging in risky political behavior. However, the tightrope eventually broke yesterday. A grave error was committed by someone in the WNBA's front office. They gave Stephen A. Smith's production crew immediate access to a highly confidential internal audio memo. Stephen A.'s entire attitude altered when he learned of the owner's covert plans to harm Sophie Cunningham. Throughout the show, you could see the utter contempt on his face. He came to the conclusion that he could no longer play both sides because the owner's actions were not just unfair but also blatantly wicked. Music, Stephen A. Smith became a total outlaw. The producers were yelling in his ear, but he disregarded them. Earpiece. He proceeded on a scorched earth tirade that totally destroyed the WNBA's phony image of unity while ignoring the commercial breaks. What specifically did Sophie Cunningham do to make herself a target? In contemporary athletics, she committed the ultimate transgression. She spoke the whole, unadulterated truth. Sophie Cunningham dropped a huge, indisputable bombshell about the inner workings of the WNBA while the rest of the league was busy caving in to corporate sponsors and acting as though nothing was wrong. She made the financial manipulation public. She criticized the biased officiating that gives preference to certain players who are protected. Most significantly, she demonstrated that the players themselves were totally fed up with the league's poisonous authoritarianism by publicly agreeing with the harsh reality that Enes Kanter was advocating. The proprietors of the WNBA fell into a terrible, blind hatred. They came to see Sophie Cunningham as more than a mere athlete. For her admirers, she was turning into a martyr. She was turning into a rebellious voice, and billionaires dislike uprisings. T-shirts. I have my
Us T-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave.
And this is for the girl.
Or cover our shirts up. This just happened.
It's crazy, right? It's totally crazy. That's the mother and daughter team that just the other day were kicked out of the game in Atlanta. It turns out they paid like $1,000 for their tickets, which everybody was like, oh my God, $1,000 for a WNBA ticket? Like that in and of itself is shocking. And then they get kicked out because they're wearing XX and XY. Just like Kanter was kicked out of the game last night because he was wearing a woman and what she is, the definition of a woman. And it's so funny to me. It's so weird that this is becoming such a big thing. Like, honestly, you really have to make that big a deal of it? Apparently they do. There is a school of thought there that is like uber progressive and uber crazy in the athletic world and embodied by so many of these people that are in the WNBA. And they don't like what Sophie represents for a whole lot of reasons, right? Same thing with Caitlin Clark. You know the drill on that. And then you get, the Megan Rapinoe's of the world even, that it feels so inclined to weigh in on this too. Like, Megan, really? Didn't you play like a bunch of 15-year-old boys and they whipped your you-know-what pretty darn fast? Like, you can't play against men, Megan. Like, what are you thinking?
A group of the most influential WNBA owners had an emergency off-the-books conference call, according to the leaked documents that Stephen A. Smith waved live on television. Finding Sophie wasn't their goal. Music. She wasn't suspended for a couple of games. Finding a legal loophole to quickly exclude Sophie Cunningham from the league was their stated, unambiguous objective. In order to send a terrible message to the rest of the locker room, they intended to revoke her contract, nullify her sponsorships, and publicly humiliate her. We will completely delete your existence if you criticize the cartel. You have owners in this league acting like the mafia, shouted Stephen A. into the microphone. Executives are secretly planning to destroy a young woman's career because she dared to voice her opinions. A basketball league is not what you desire. A religion of silence is what you desire. The exposure was unprecedented, terrible, and unadulterated. You expect the league commissioner to take the podium, take the heat, and pledge to do a thorough investigation when a controversy of this kind makes headlines. However, none of that was done by Kathy Engelbert.
Wake up and say, I'm a female and I want to participate in the NBA according to the letter of the language of the law, you can actually get away with it. And that needs to be clarified. Clearly, that's a political position to take. And I think on one hand, Enes Kanter was very wrong. It was a classless thing for him to do.
Well, I don't even think it's a political issue. That's the craziest part. It's not a political issue. It's a common sense issue. The WNBA, they've maybe have turned it into a political issue because they refuse to use basic logic and anatomy. But it's not really a political issue. Or it shouldn't at least be a political issue. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It shouldn't be a political issue because it's common sense. But it's a political issue because those who are delusional have been catered to for far too long. To now they're believing their own delusions, and common sense needs to step in every now and then and just smack you over the head.
Because it's not, the ladies that are playing don't have anything to do with this. The league does. Its collective bargaining agreement may be the case. The liberal tilt that it has might be a cause or a cause effect to some degree. I get all of that, but the actual ladies that are involved, they have nothing to do with this, and they don't deserve to be agitated the way he clearly was willing to do in attendance at the game. It wasn't just about him standing, but he was just about to step to her. You got no business doing that. You got
He was just about to step to. You don't believe that, Stephen A, do you? You don't believe that, Stephen A. She ran across the entire court. She went from one side of the court to the other side of the court to get into his face. You don't believe he was going to step on the court, do you?